Today I'm going to be talking through the items that I wore the most throughout the months of winter. And actually, I've really only got 5 key pieces that I wanted to call out this time. And I love doing this reflection as I find it really grounding, and it also gives me that sense of being tuned in to what it is that I am wearing on repeat and the types of silhouettes that I'm reaching for. It's also really interesting to see the evolution of your style this way too, especially if you track your wardrobe wear count, which is something I do, and I do it manually for those wondering. For those who are in the Southern Hemisphere like me, my spring most worn will be going live on my Substack very soon, so I'll link my newsletter down below in case you're not already subscribed. Anyway, I think we should just get right into it, get into the essentials. I will make an effort to try and link some alternatives down in the description box below, which I think kind of fit the same bill, but I believe many of you are going to have these essentials in your wardrobe already. So the first is an oversized crew neck sweater. This one here is from Jenny Kane, and this is my second sort of winter season wearing it. And I can't even tell you how much love I have for this sweater. This is my favorite style that I have from the brand, and I think it's extremely underrated. It is a 50-50 blend of cotton and recycled cashmere. So while it doesn't have that pillow cloud-like softness of the 100% cashmere range, this is really comfortable and it is incredibly warm too. And it's not too weighty. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit heavier than their cashmere pieces, but I find this very, very comfortable to wear. I really like the tone of grey as well. It's more like a neutral to slightly cool tone, but it isn't that kind of ice blue grey that you sometimes find, which can be very difficult for a lot of skin tones to pull off. And I think Jenny Kane have definitely really nailed the silhouette because it doesn't run too long through the body and it very easily tucks. And I am going to have a whole sweater tucking video coming next week for those of you who want to know my few tips and tricks for tucking knits, especially ones that are a little bit thicker or a little bit longer. Now, what was kind of poignant about this for me is that I realized that the knitwear that I was wearing, that was kind of the key hero of my outfit. And this is going to kind of come into play a little bit later on as I talk about my most worn coat, but it was the focal piece always. And I did tend to cycle through a lot of my knitwear, so it meant that I didn't really have any specific tops that sort of struck me as being my most worn. Instead, I identified that the things I was wearing a lot underneath my knitwear were layering basics. And there are a few brands that I think do this really well. I think if you want a nice long sleeve, something in merino that is going to keep you very toasty if you live in an especially cold climate, I don't think that you can beat the Arket or Cos merino long sleeves. I've got these in a few different colors. They also do a turtleneck style, which is great if you want to have that little bit of additional warmth and protection around your neck, but they are just really nice and thin. They wash really well, and I don't find them uncomfortable to wear. They're really nice and long as well, so you can kind of tuck them in, but just perfect, and they can be worn on their own too. If you find that wool is a little bit too irritating for your skin, I know not everyone can wear it, then Base Range do really beautiful cotton versions, and they often have interesting design details. So this one here has this beautiful seam detail and the lettuce edge cuff detail as well as along the neckline, but they always have different silhouettes and lots of colors, and I find that their neutrals tend to be a little bit more interesting than some other brands. If you live somewhere where it's not too cold, maybe you live on the West Coast in the US, then you're going to want to have a really good tee, and I think Uniqlo U kind of do the best. This is probably my favorite one from them. I've had it for a couple of years now. It has a slightly stepped hem. If you want something that is a little bit more fitted, made well, they do such good t-shirts. Their baby rib tee being one of my favorites right now. Moving on to my most worn pants, and this was kind of interesting to me because it really signaled a shift, a real 180 from my style pre-pandemic. So if we kind of rewind a little bit and we think about what we were wearing just 4 years ago, a lot of us were still in skinny jeans. They were all the rage, kind of felt like they would never ever go away, go out of style, and I always felt like that was going to be something that was forever in my wardrobe. I still have a handful of skinny jeans that fit me. Most of them were a little bit too small after having my 2 kids, but I found that I'm really gravitating towards something that has a little bit more give and room through the leg. And it's just so happened to be that these straight leg jeans, these ones are from Assembly Label, were my most worn. And I think what was surprising for me, at least, that these were the most worn is that they're 100% cotton. So they're kind of a little bit more fitted at the waist, and then they're really quite voluminous, and they've got a lot of width across the seat, so they don't pinch at all. And that is kind of my tip if you are looking at 100% cotton jeans and you don't want to feel restricted or kind of like you're about to burst out of them. These are a really nice kind of long fit, and I think in terms of value for money, Assembly Label can't be beat. They do ship worldwide, I'm pretty sure, But again, I will link some alternatives below that I think are great value for money that kind of meet the same bar as these. It's kind of funny thinking that, you know, 4 years ago I would never have worn a jean like this, and now I love it, and I actually find that they are really kind of interesting to wear, and they add a lot of proportional interest to an outfit. Now the denim is definitely more reflective of my everyday kind of casual dressing, especially when I'm with the kids or when I'm doing my daycare run, and that's part of the reason why I reach for them so much, despite them being a late player to the game. But I did want to call out my trousers that I reach for the most throughout the winter season, and they were these ones here from Facade Pattern. Now I have these in 2 colors, and actually as part of the Black Friday sales I bought the long full length version. This is a cropped pant, so perfect if you're petite. You may actually find they come up as being a full length trouser on you or falling just below the ankle bone, which is great, especially if you're wearing boots. But I find for me, I can wear these with a sock boot or even just with an under the knee boot that has a slim shaft, because they are so wide through the leg. And you can see that similarity in the silhouette between these and the jeans that I just showed you before. I also have these in the taupe. What I like about these is they're actually really carefree, very easy to look after. I just put them in the washing machine, and I know it says dry clean only, but they're wool. You can put them in a wool wash and make sure it's a cold setting, and then just lay them flat to dry. You just need to give them a really good iron afterwards, and they come out looking like new. So I think that's really kind of breathed new life into these trousers for me, because I don't have time for anything that is not easy to care for. And I love that these were my most worn pant, because I do have a few pairs of black trousers on rotation, and clearly the style is just something that I'm forever gonna love, and I still enjoy a crop pant. I mean, hands up if you do too. Moving on to my most worn coat. Now this was actually also from Facade Pattern, and I have to say, of all the Korean brands that I have tried over the years, Facade Pattern is my favorite, and if I had the money I would buy my entire wardrobe from there. This is their Balmacan coat, and I'm not sure if this exact one is available, but their coats in general are really beautiful quality. Now this is 90% wool, 10% cashmere, and it has this really luxurious finish to it. I just kind of love the collar detail, the way that it just buttons down the front, and it has the concealed placket. You also have this adjustable cuff. It's really weighty and feels really cozy. And I think, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier about my sweater being the focal point of my outfit, I barely reach for a coat over winter. I reach for a coat, I think, less than 15 times in a 3-month period, which seems crazy. I live in Sydney, Australia, and we have a really mild climate. For those of you in the US, I would say it's probably most like living in LA. That is probably the best comparison that I can think of. And this year in particular, it was unseasonably mild. Like, I was still wearing denim shorts in June and July, and that is unheard of. That's crazy. So for that reason, I really can see that there's so much value in spending a little bit more on knitwear, because that is really a element of my wardrobe that I know I'm going to get a lot of wear out of, and it's definitely one of the areas that I always say is worth kind of making sure you splurge on and getting something that is in a natural fibre as opposed to synthetics, and also just keeping in mind with knitwear that is going to require maintenance. You're going to need a fabric shaver or a cashmere comb in order to remove any pilling, but that's just part and parcel of owning clothes and wearing them and loving them. But yeah, this coat, gorgeous, stunning. I have seen a few brands that have very similar ones to this on W Concept, which is where mine is from. I have a discount code for there as well, which is Mademoiselle 2023, and that'll get you an extra 10% off on any of their sale prices, which is great. But such a stunning coat. I love the drama of a long coat as well, and of course being longer is really practical too, and I think that's a style that works regardless of your height. Now my most worn shoes are going to be incredibly impractical for those of you who live in an especially cold climate, so I'm just going to point that out now. But mine were the mini flats from Vivaya. I actually wear their shoes so frequently because of how comfortable they are. They're often the shoe that I slip on first thing in the morning when I do my daycare run, either that or a style from Everlane. I like their day styles, the day glove or the day ballet flat. But yeah, these are fantastic, and they're also machine washable. Mine have held up really well. I don't know if you can see, but there's just a little bit of wrinkling here along the toe, which is kind of natural anyway, even with leather shoes. So those are fantastic, and I think if you like these but you want something that's a little bit less structured, because these have a really firm sole, then I would recommend the Aria Walker Mary Janes, because they're very much on trend, and you've got the little strap to help keep your foot in. And I'm just going to do a little side by side. I will do a try on side by side so you can get a real sense, but that is both of them, and these are incredibly light because they've got the foamy base. I do recommend going up a size if you have wider feet or a bunion like I do, because these ones in the 40 and they fit a little on the snug side. Finally, let's talk about my most worn bag, and you know, this is definitely one of my favorite bags in my wardrobe, the Acne Studios Mini Masubi bag. Do you want me to do a full review on this and a comparison with a very similar one? I actually have it right here, the Arquette crossbody bag, which is kind of a good alternative if you love this style but you don't quite have the budget. And this is just a little point that I want to highlight for those of you who do feel like you need to splurge on the more expensive version of the thing. Is it the actual item itself that you are coveting, or is it the mood that is going to bring to your outfit? Because those are two very separate things. And I have to say, I've worn this bag so many times. I don't care that it's not the Acne one and that it's kind of almost looking like it is, but it isn't, because it gives me the same mood, the same vibe, the same feeling that I want to get when I'm wearing this, but it's in a different color. So it's really good quality. I will say though, just having them both in my hand right now, this one is a little bit on the heavier side. But yeah, this is just such a visually interesting bag. I love the little origami detail. I don't know if you can see here, but you can actually adjust the length of the shoulder strap and you can actually remove it entirely if you want. It's got these little snaps underneath, and inside it is kind of an open compartment with a zip up pocket in the center, two separate compartments that are fused together at the base, but there is a gap on the sides. I've gotten this question before. I will say probably my only gripe about this is that the glazing on mine has cracked, and that happened less than 12 months after purchasing it. I don't know if mine was just a faulty bag, because I've had other people message me and say it wasn't an issue with theirs, but I did want to call it out. And I know I've seen a few of these on sale recently, so a good time to buy, or maybe even keep an eye out during the Boxing Day sales. So I got a little bit off track there, but what I wanted to say about this bag is that what I realized that I need for every single day is not a small, but a small to medium sized everyday bag that I can wear across my body, because it's really practical for me. When I think about all the items that I'm wearing on repeat, they have a real purpose. They are doing something, and they're not just there for aesthetic purposes. While this does have the side effect of being aesthetically beautiful, and that's kind of what I would say is the case for a lot of the things that I have, they're not out there acting as a statement piece. And I think this is a really good takeaway as well, that when we do have those statement pieces, yes, we might be wearing them, but we're not wearing them as much as the basics in our wardrobe, and that's really where you should focus the majority of your wardrobe budget. So that wraps up my most worn items for winter. I hope that you found this video helpful, and also just getting those little mini reviews and a little bit of insight into my thinking when it comes to selecting the pieces I'm wearing on a daily basis. I am going to have my regular winter styling video going live on Boxing Day, in case you want to keep an eye out. I always love filming those every single year. And yeah, that is it from me. If you're new, you want to subscribe, I would love to have you back, and I will see you soon with a brand new video. Thanks for watching. Bye.